So I had a whole video planned trying something fun and silly, but that turned out to be a little difficult to get done in a reasonable time frame. But with getting a copy of the game from Corvus Belli and REM Racers now released, I feel like I should share what I think of the game. We're going to split this video into 3 parts. What is REM Racers? How to play the game, and what I think of it. Please feel free to jump to the part you want to check out, or better yet, watch it all, leave a comment, a like, subscribe, you know, all that jazz. REM Racers is a game set in the Infinity universe and plays out like Mario Kart, with Mario and his kart replaced by a pilot and their remote. These pilots race their remotes around circuits, while using abilities and equipment to mess with their opponents and win the race by crossing the finish line first. The game was designed by Fernando Lago a number of years ago, who came up with the concept when reading over the background lore for remotes in the wargame Infinity. This version is the result of refinement and work with Corvus Belli to make a retail release. The game is meant as a party game and can have up to 5 players racing one another around a course. The course itself is entirely up to you, as the set contains various track pieces for you to make a variety of circuits or an unconnected staged race. The box also contains tokens and templates for use in the game. Game controllers representing the pilot and their remote, and 2 decks of cards, one with pilot abilities and the other equipment. The remotes for the game come in coloured plastic, and each has a unique sculpt that matches their artwork. The remotes themselves are too small to be used in regular games of Infinity, and the base is the wrong shape, so no proxies here. If I were to compare this game to other games I have experienced, I would say the game plays out like a cross between Formula D and Gaslands, where the order of play is similar to the former, and the movement of the cars is like the latter. Order of initiative in a turn is decided by who is in front. If you are in the lead at the beginning of the round, then you will get to take your actions first. This means that the sequence of taking your turn is not fixed like in other games. It helps to prevent remotes unnecessarily crashing into one another and not making any progress, which would give the remote in front the advantage when they move. The way the remotes move, however, is using templates similar to what you might see in Gaslands or X-Wing. There are between 2 and 4 templates for each speed the remote moves at. So at speed 1 we have a choice of very short but controlled movement templates. This then rises up to speed 4 templates that are very long but lack the control of slower speeds. The aim is to manage your speed with the control needed to get around the track and get ahead of the other remotes. The trick is that there is no pre-measuring, so you have to try and make an educated guess as to which template you choose. Once you have made that choice, you then have the challenge of trying to place it in a way that avoids hitting a wall or another remote. To move the remote, you place your chosen template with the facing of your choice from the front of the remote's hex-shaped base, and place the remote at the other side of the template, with the back of the hex base fitting into the slot. Each turn you're not limited to moving, however. You also have the choice of using equipment cards either before or after your move. These are collected every time you cross over into a new track segment, or if you are in last place at the end of a turn. Each player is able to have a hand of 3 cards. If it ever goes over, you must instantly discard one. The equipment cards have a variety of uses, allowing remotes to shoot one another, drop proximity mines, release oil, hack other remotes' controls, and boost their own. When using equipment against another remote, it often requires a roll of dice to hit the opponent and a roll to save for any hits received. All these stats are on the remote's controller, and each remote has different strengths and weaknesses. For example, the Pan O remote is great at shooting, but very vulnerable to BTS attacks. whereas the Nomad remote is great at defending against hacking, but weak to physical damage. The pilots themselves also have a unique ability each. These are described on their individual cards and can only be used once per lap of the circuit. At the end of your turn, after moving and using any equipment cards that you want, you then have the choice of increasing your speed by 1, reducing it by 1, or staying at the same speed before the turn moves to the next player. Crashing into other remotes will cause the remotes to move in random directions using a scatter template. Wherever the remote is hit, the template is placed on the opposite side and a die rolled to see where they end up. Crashing into the walls of the circuit, however, will allow the player to redirect their remote as they wish, but a consequence will occur. This is resolved by drawing an equipment card and referencing the symbol at the bottom with the consequence. There are a variety of problems, including a loss of speed, losing a point of health, or stalling for a turn. If you are really lucky, there will be no consequence, but if you are very unlucky, it can destroy your remote. Then you instantly respawn at the beginning of the track segment you are on, placing the remote where they connect. Your 3 points of damage are restored, but the speed of the remote is reset back down to 1. Each race is 2 laps long. The starting grid order is decided by a roll-off, and this will also decide the initial initiative order. Once the finish line has been crossed by a remote on the last lap, then the last round is triggered where the other remotes get a turn to try and get across the finish line. This reflects that although the game is turn-based, you have to imagine that everything is moving together at the same time. The winner is then the remote that crossed the furthest over the finish line. I managed to play with my friend Jeremy from
Upturned Table.
Go check out his channel if you like TRPGs or Mutant Chronicles. He does some great stuff. We honestly had a blast playing just the 2 of us, and it felt like it simulated the mayhem of Mario Kart in a board game that was easy to pick up and play quickly. The quick back and forth between us had us pulling away from one another, only to get a well-placed adhesive launcher shot to allow the other to catch up, or a well-timed proximity mine dashing the hopes of a takeover. It really made for an exciting game that, just like in Mario Kart, you cannot take too seriously, as the game is designed to rubber band the players so that no one feels like they are out because of a bad start. We did manage to rope in a couple of other people to try a 4-player game, and this was also a lot of chaotic fun, but it did highlight a couple of problems. If you are in the middle of a pack, you can find yourself just crashing into other remotes constantly, or being bumped by them. With the use of the scatter template, this can slow the game down a lot and cause you to have some frustrating rounds where you cannot do anything until the pack thins out. And waiting on all the other players can sometimes leave you wanting everyone to hurry up with their decisions. However, with more players, there is more opportunity to mess with one another using the equipment received, making for some really evil Mario Kart moments where everyone tries to blue shell the player in first who is about to cross the finish line, causing them to cross in last place as they were slowed to a halt from the barrage of fire. This, I have to stress, is a positive, as it is what makes this such a fun party game. I would like to play a 3-player game, as I feel this is where the game probably plays the best, giving you a choice of opponents to mess with and avoiding the frustrating scrum when packed together. I love the game controllers that track your speed and damage. They are very aesthetic with the atmosphere of the game, even if a bit awkward to keep in the box when you are packing it all away. I really wish the tracks were jigsawed with connectors. It's so easy to knock them or have them slip out of place. The only reason I can think why not is to make it clear where the line between the track segments are. But this could be resolved with a printed line. A line would also make it much more visually clearer for players to see where the track segments are and remind you to draw an equipment card. The abilities on the pilot's cards are all quite unique, but not very balanced in my opinion. Also, Charles W. McQueen's ability has an effect that means nothing, and just confused me on the rules when I read it. He's able to crash into a car, propelling them forward, but it also states, your remote does not suffer any consequences from the crash. Now, according to the rulebook, consequences are only caused by hitting a wall, not another remote. And on the subject of confusing cards, the equipment card Drift Mode has the hacked remote move, only with closed turn templates. But there is no mention of what these are in the rules. The only turns are wide, sharp, and S-shaped. Even if we were to assume this meant any of these, if the remote is moving at speed 4, there is only a transitional movement or a straight. How does the remote move if at speed 4? Corvus Belli, your games are great. I love them dearly. But this is a mistake that is made in many of your releases, both at retail and on Kickstarters. You need better quality control for the English versions of your games, done by people who understand the rules of the game and not just the grammar of the language. These are avoidable mistakes, and I really hope you do better in the future. Okay, rant aside, this game is a lot of fun, and it's a game I'm going to look forward to pulling out with friends who enjoy a more relaxed game to play over beers and snacks. Other than a few rule confusions, this game is a lot of fun, easy to pick up, and very replayable. Much like Mario Kart. If you are watching this video close to its release, Corvus Belli are also running a 20% off sale of remotes for the game Infinity, alongside the release of this game. So if you are an Infinity player, it's time to fill that space in your army with a remote or two. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.